I think we're ready to go. Please rise while we post the colors.
Ready? Well, post colors.
Former Congressman Michael McNulty will help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard posts. Please remain standing for our opening prayer. Joel Abelov.
Almighty God, you who are the source of our life, strength, and purpose. In your presence alone we find help, hope, and life. Guide us during this hour of fellowship and reflection to be grounded with a healing reminder of your love to all whose lives we touch this day. For it is in your glory we gather and offer our prayers. Amen.
Amen. Stand forward. Left face. Come left, forward, march.
Please be seated. Morning, everyone. My name is Tim Forbes, the chairman of the Rensselaer County Honor a Deceased Veteran Committee. We've gathered here this morning to honor deceased Rensselaer County veterans for the month of July, and that veteran is James E. Bradley. We're honored to have with us this morning his family. We have Brian Bradley, his son, Jacqueline Tremont, daughter-in-law, Christine Perry, a daughter, Richard Perry, son-in-law, Elaine Keefe, daughter, Dan Keefe, son-in-law, Allison Bradley, his granddaughter, Michelle Schultz, his niece, Barbara Matrice, his niece, Harry Matrice, his nephew-in-law, and Patricia Mosler, his niece. Thank you all for being here. Also with us today to honor our Veteran of the Month, our Congressman Paul Tonko, representing Antonio Delgado's office, Sarah Roberts, former Congressman Michael McNulty. I might miss some people because I was busy. But we had New York State Senator Daphne Jordan would be here if she could. Senator Neil Breslin. New York State Assemblyman Jake Ashby and John T. McDonald III are here. Rensselaer County Executive Steve McLaughlin. Rensselaer County Legislative Chairman Mike Stammel. I'm just going to read it because I'm not sure, but Rensselaer County Vice Chair Kelly Hoffman might be here. Rensselaer County Majority Leader Kenneth Harrington. I don't think he's here, but he's one of the good guys. Stop that. Rensselaer County Deputy Minority Leader Cindy Duran. The Chairman of the Legislative Veterans Committee is Ken Harrington. Our Rensselaer County District Attorney Mary Pat Donnelly. Sheriff Russo's not here, he's probably out on road patrol. Colonel Kelly from the Waterville Arsenal's here with Matt Day. Introducing veterans, guests, and legislators. I've missed some of them, so I'll just Kelly Hoffman, Robert Lovebridge, Bruce Patier, Charles Peter, Mike Stammel's here, Todd Tessman, Aaron Sullivan, Carol Weaver's here, Jeffrey Wasaki. We're all aware that Memorial Day and Veterans Day are special days to remember all of our veterans. This program was created to help us honor our veterans all year round. To us here in Rensselaer County, every day is Veterans Day. The Rensselaer County Honor a Deceased Veteran program represents veterans organizations throughout the entire county. This includes members of the Marine Corps League, the American Legion, the Disabled American Veterans, the Veterans of Lansingburg, the Military Order of Purple Heart, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Korean War veterans, Tri-County Council Vietnam-era veterans, our Heroes at Home, Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, Vietnam Veterans of America Chapter 8, AMVETS, and also our Rensselaer County Veteran Service Agency. I will now ask Mike Stammel, the Rensselaer County Legislative Chairman, to come forward to tell us about our honored veteran for the month, July, James E. Bradley. And I guess I'm supposed to ask for the assembled county legislators to come on up at this time also. So, Mike.
I would also ask that past legislator Tom Walsh come down. Mr. Harrington had a last-minute emergency and could not be here this morning. He asked me to pass on his regards. He definitely is somebody who is very loyal to this program. The plaque's right there. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Stammel, and I'm the chairman of the Rensselaer County Legislature. I'd like to welcome each of you to our Honor of Deceased Veterans program. Today we have the honor to celebrate the life and service of James E. Bradley, who was born in Troy, New York on October 8, 1927. James was one of 5 children born to William and Margaret Powers Bradley. James had 3 brothers, John, William, and Powers, and 1 sister, Helen Marie. James grew up in South Troy and went to School 12 before moving to LaSalle Institute, where he graduated in 1945. Shortly after graduating from LaSalle, James enlisted in the United States Navy in Albany. On July 7, 1945, James was quickly sent to active duty on August 14, 1945. Seaman Bradley received the recruit training at the United States Naval Training Center in Sampson, New York. And after receiving his new recruit training, Seaman Bradley received an advanced training at Puget Sound Naval Yard in Bremerton, Washington. After his training was complete, Seaman Bradley was assigned to the USS Florence Nightingale, a troop transport that supported ground forces throughout the Pacific, and the USS Wyoming, which was used in gunnery training vessel, tasked with developing tactics for more effectively engaging the Japanese kamikaze aircraft. The USS Florence Nightingale returned to Pearl Harbor on August 20th, 1945, to begin occupation transport duty, which found her stopping at the Marshall Islands and Yokosuka at Japan before return to Portland, Oregon. On November 15, 1945, between November 21st and December 6, 1945, the USS Florence Nightingale transported members of the top secret rocket project, Paperclip, to New York. Seaman Bradley's ship returned to the Far East after a week in New York. They transported occupational troops to Korea and then brought servicemen who were ready to discharge to Long Beach, California. Once there, they loaded German prisoners of war to transport to Liverpool, England. After many travels across the seas, Seaman First Class James E. Bradley was honorably discharged from the United States Navy at Ludlow Beach, Long Island, New York, for his honorable service to this country, Seaman First Class Bradley was life in Troy, New York, and attended Siena College, a short period of time. On May 7, 1949, James was married to Mary Blanche B. Kelly at St. Joseph's Church in Troy. They settled into married life in Troy, New York. Prior to relocating to Latham in 1956, James and Bee had 4 daughters, Christine, Mary Lynn, Ellen, and Kelly, and 2 sons, James Jr. and Brian. James supported his family through his employment in the family business of William F. Bradley and Sons before being self-employed as the owner and operator of James E. Bradley and Sons Plumbing and Heating in Troy for over 50 years before retiring in 1991. James was a member of the Latham Council of the Knights of Columbus, the Colony Benevolent Association, the Protective Order of the Elks, a 10-year member of the Boston Spa Country Club, a 30-year member, a board member of Wolford's Roost Country Club, and a 50-year member of the Local 7 of the Plumbers and Steamfitters Union, and was a communicant of the Lady of Assumption Church in Latham. In his spare time, James enjoyed golfing, shopping, and stocking up on groceries, spending his time with his grandchildren and traveling to Florida with Bee. Sadly, on April 10th, 2001, James passed away, left behind to cherish memories were his wife of 51 years, Bee, his daughter, Christian, Mary Lynn, Ellen, and Kelly, his son, James Jr., and Brian, his 19 grandchildren, and his brother, Power. James was preceded by his parents, William and Margaret, his sister, Helen Marie, and his brother, John, and William James is buried in St. Agnes Cemetery in Menands, New York. Today, we are grateful to the Bradley family for allowing us to honor James's life and service to our country. It is only because of the service of the dedicated men and women of the greatest generation that we are able to celebrate the joys, the freedom, and we often take for granted. Thank you to each and every one of you. And we really appreciate you being here today. And there's going to be a host of other speakers that will fill in what I forgot. All right, so thank you. With that, Tom, would you like to say a few words?
It's always a pleasure for me to come and sit in for, thank you, for Ken. I used to do this job before, and I still feel a part of it. And I want to thank Mike for having me up here to do this again. It's always good to look out and see a lot of the family members here. Sometimes there's only 1 or 2, but I like it when I see a lot of them here. I know the family's really interested in their veterans. And we certainly, James did quite a stint in the Navy, and like Mike said, he was all over the place. He did a lot of miles on that boat, or I say ship. I don't know if you noticed it or not, out here when you come in, on the left-hand wall, there's a bunch of plaques out there, and they're all the deceased members of the veterans that we honored in the past years. And this coming year, Jim will be on that plaque too. And you'll be invited back up again when we make the presentation here. I have here a proclamation honoring James, and it's signed by the chairman, Mike Samuel, and I'd like to present it to you at this time.
Thank you all. I will now ask Congressman Paul Tonko to come forward.
Member of the military, and certainly Congressman Mike McNulty. Thank you, Mike, for planting the seeds for what is a tradition now maintained here in Rensselaer County. An honor to continue that with your county executive, Steve, as we go forward and pay tribute to outstanding individuals, and to join with the members of the county legislature and colleagues from state government, John McDonald and the like, and most importantly, to be with the family, the James E. Bradley family, so that we can say thank you to these individuals of greatness, individuals who donned the uniform and broke from the comfort zone, so to speak, of family life and home life and the familiarity of hometown to say yes to service to this nation, to brighten that beacon of hope that the U.S. is to freedom-loving people around the world. And so to have half of the 6 children that he was proud to call his own, and to be joined by at least one grandchild, Allison representing them, and many family members, it's important that we stop in our busy activity and say thank you to these individuals who serve as inspiration even after their passing, knowing that they were appropriately dubbed the greatest generation. Individuals who had strong values, deep faith, and a patriotism that was undeniable. This morning, I want to just recognize that shortly after he was graduating from LaSalle as a member of the class of 1945, said yes to this nation. And we think about that, and someone so young offering their service, his service, to this nation, entering into the Navy and serving on that USS Florence Nightingale, and being assigned some very difficult duties, traveling through that Pacific theater and doing his very best. And we pay tribute to that bravery, that courage, that strength, and the undeniable patriotism to make certain that we would be victorious in that effort to provide for peace and protection of our liberties, which we cherish. And so we thank him this morning for being so selfless in his attempt, and again, for being totally driven by his spirit of patriotism. Each and every of our veterans, I believe, write their personal love story on behalf of this nation. And certainly First Class, Seaman First Class James E. Bradley had done that in a powerful way. It's also wonderful to note that he came back cherishing those freedoms for which he fought, and enabling him to go forward and establish a business, a plumbing and heating organization that served again the public as he served this country, and going forth and expressing his deep sense of faith, also joining with the Knights of Columbus and the Elks, so very community-spirited and community-minded. Those are examples and lessons that don't go lightly, that imprint upon the hearts of our loved ones, but certainly those in the greater sense of community. And so this morning we say thank you for an individual who offered himself in the spirit of this great country to be able to make certain that not only protected those freedoms that we cherish and enjoy, but also advanced them and promoted them to freedom-loving people in every corner of the world. On behalf of his service to this nation, and in tribute to his honor, his memory, and his spirit, I asked to have a flag flown over our nation's capital. Sarah's here from Congressman Delgado's office. Together, we asked that this flag be flown in tribute to Seaman First Class James E. Bradley for his love of country and his service through the Navy, recognizing that he had earned and been decorated with that American Theater Medal, the Asia Pacific Campaign Medal, and the Victory Medal, the World War II Victory Medal. Well deserved, well recognized, and this morning we say a humble thank you, and may he rest in peace.
Thank you, Paul. Paul acknowledged Sarah Roberts. Sarah, would you like to say anything, or just what Paul said? Perfect, perfect. I will now ask Rensselaer County Executive Stephen.
I want to thank Congressman McNulty for being the driving force to get this going, and certainly our legislature for hosting this every month. It's really important to us here in the county, and certainly Colonel Kelly, we appreciate his time coming over from the Arsenal. And as I look through Mr. Bradley's proclamation here, and you see that he joined up when he was a couple months shy of 18 years old. He was 17, so I thought you had to be 18, but he might have kind of slid under the wire there. But that shows his patriotism and how much we needed folks back then, that part of that greatest generation. And he went off and served his country, and like I always say, came back here and took off that uniform, put on a different uniform, raised a family, and did everything right, except moving to Latham. I don't know why he would leave Rensselaer County, where all good things happen, but other than that, he did everything right. Just a lifetime of service. You see the Kiwanis, the Elks, the Knights of Columbus, all organizations based around service and faith and love of country. So I think that probably sums up who James Bradley was, and certainly the results are here before us of a great family. So, and anybody that enjoys golfing as much as he did has got to be a good guy, because I love that as well. And you know, you see the grocery shopping. I kind of chuckle when I saw grocery shopping and stocking up. My parents are of that same era, and I think it's a leftover from that Depression era mentality where there was some scarcity. So I remember in our basement there were shelves of food, like 700 cans of soup that, I don't know. But I think that probably a lot of folks of that generation did the same thing. So that they could provide for their family and never have any scarcity. So we are thankful for his life and service, and it's our honor to honor him here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. I will now ask New York State Assemblyman Jake Ashby and John T. McDonald III to please come forward.
My turn, I guess, right? I think so. Well, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and on behalf of myself and my colleague and friend Jake Ashby, we want to make a presentation on behalf of the New York State Assembly. Just a couple observations. Steve, I agree, and I think Paul mentioned it too. Amazingly, and we heard this so often, particularly during that time, individuals graduate from high school and automatically go in to serve their country. It's remarkable, and the route and the areas he traveled to itself, obviously assigned to do this, but still got a worlds of experience in a short period of time. Came back, raised a family, ran his own business, and many of us know running your own business can be challenging. Running it for 50 years, it deserves more than a medal in many aspects. But same token, and we are very fortunate to have so many individuals recognized over the years, you can tell a lot by the organizations they belong to, what they do for their hobbies, but more importantly, as I did the KFC and the Elks, those are great organizations that really define the person. I think what's most impressive, and I thank you, the family, here we are 18 years after he's passed, and we are still recognizing in his memory. And I think that's probably the greatest testimony we can do. So on behalf of both myself and Jake, we have this citation from the Assembly we'd like to present. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Would the members of the Honor of Deceased Veteran Committee please stand while I present the plaque? On behalf of the Honor of Deceased Veteran Committee, the citizens of Rensselaer County and the veterans here assembled, please accept this plaque as a symbol of our appreciation for your loved one's service. Thank you all for letting us honor him, and we do appreciate everything you're taking care of. Please stand for our closing prayer. Joel Abelove.
Bless him and grant his family comfort and everlasting peace. Amen.
Please retire the colors.
Ready? Roll. Retrieve colors. Two. Right face. Down right, forward, no.